Blue Jays get swept by the Angels coming off of a great road trip where they went 6-7 against the Yankees and the Red Sox. They look dead out there. I'm going to break that series down and a bit more in this episode of Blue Jays Digest. So without further ado, let's get right into it. What's up, Jays fans? It's Nick Gosse here, host of Blue Jays Digest. And I'm going to be doing this breakdown solo. Peter wasn't able to make it out for this one. He will be back for the Cubs breakdown. But I'm going to be doing this one solo, and we have a lot to get into today. This series sucked. From the get-go, from the first inning, it was brutal. But before I do get into that, thank you all for your support. The videos are doing great. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you do like the content. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So yeah, just keep hitting the subscribe button and showing love. Okay, so let's get into it. We'll start with game one. Game one was a 12-0 loss. The starter was Mitch White. I'm a huge Mitch White guy. He got up 7 runs, I believe. He didn't have his best stuff, but the defense behind him let him down, and that was the moral of the whole series. The defense just wasn't there. He wasn't able to make pitches. His slider looked good. It's just that he hung it a couple too many times. Mitch White deserved better, but I'd say if a couple of the plays, and I believe they said it on the broadcast, if a couple of plays were made that should have been made, Mitch White would have maybe only given up 3 or 4 runs instead of however many he gave up, 7. Coming off of a loss, or coming off of the road trip that we had, everyone was going. The Rogers Center was packed, 40+ thousand every single game, and for game one, it was buzzing there. You could hear it on TV. You could hear it. The announcers were ready. Everyone was excited. The players seemed ready. And they talked about that they were just ready to go. And they went in, and the first top inning, there was errors. It was sloppy. It was horrible. And that was really a theme for the rest of the series. It was just brutal. Now, there were some positive things. It was a 12-0 loss, and the lack of fundamentals, lack of defense, lack of hustle, by not just one or two players, but by most of the team. Well, I'll go into a positive really quick. Yusei Kikuchi went 3 innings. I believe he gave up 3 runs, but he had 6 strikeouts, and he did good. He looked good. He did what he had to do, which was save the bullpen for the other games because they were taxed after the multiple extra inning games where the bullpen had to be taxed in Boston. But overall, it wasn't great. Mitch White, he didn't have his good stuff, but I thought he battled well. He gave up a lot of runs, and John Snyder had to leave him out there. He needed to go 6 innings, or I think he ran around 6 innings. He needed to do that because the bullpen was just taxed. And then we had Yusei Kikuchi come in, and he did look good. He looked good. 6 strikeouts. So hopefully he continues to work on that, and hopefully he could be some sort of a asset down the stretch, especially with Tim Mesa not looking like himself. And yeah, to end that game, they had Whit Merrifield pitching in the top of the 9th there. Kind of just goes to show how that game went. It sucks. That game sucked. The fans didn't get their money's worth on that one. But yeah, overall rough game. They got in late. The last game in Boston went really late, and their flight got in. They got into Toronto at like 3 or 4 in the morning. So people, when they lost 12-0, people were using that as sort of an excuse. And I was like, okay, well, we'll see how the rest of the games play out to see. And as we know, well, that excuse wasn't that good. As in game 2, it was a much better game, defensively and pitching wise, not offensively. Manoah, fantastic. He was dominant. Just 7 innings, I believe, of great pitching. 1 run. He did what he had to do to win the game 95% of the time. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to do that as Shohei Ohtani was just better. And I don't even like to say he was better because the Jays offense couldn't do anything, and it's been the theme here. They're not hitting. They only had 2 hits in this game against an Angels pitching staff that really isn't that good. They're really not that good. They're very average. Now Shohei Ohtani was pitching in game 2, So if there was a game to only get 2 hits, it would be that game would be the one. Shohei Ohtani pitched phenomenal. He hit whatever he's hitting. He's hitting great. He's best player in baseball, in my opinion. But Jays can do anything. The first inning, they had a couple runners on, I believe, and they weren't able to get a run. And from there, Shohei was dominant. Manoah did great. He was also dominant. And then Anthony Bass came in there in the ninth and gave up a run. But the offense couldn't muster anything. They 2 hits in front of a sold out crowd is just not what you want to do, and it's not what you can do if you want to make it to the postseason. The theme about these games, especially it was a short 3-game series, there really isn't much to talk about. Like, there's not much to break down. Like I said, I'm doing this one solo, but it was brutal. I could harp on the defense all I want, but that'll get boring eventually. I don't want to keep harping on it. But someone needs to have a clubhouse meeting or something. But game 2, I enjoyed watching the game. The offense was bad, but it was a pitching duel. Shohei was great. Manoah was great. Vladdy and Shohei had a couple battles. Defense was a bit better. But other than that, there really wasn't much to rave about in that game. So, I mean, the Jays need to start hitting. So going into game 3 against Tucker Davidson, with an above 6 ERA, the lefty. Jays struggle against lefties, so everyone was maybe thinking like, maybe, I don't know. These pitchers who are not good or not like high ERA. If you're in the MLB, you're good, but in the high ERA, not good for an MLB pitcher. He's way below average. 6 runs above a 6 ERA. He was just, and he carved up the Blue Jays. This was the worst one, because after losing the first 2, you needed to win this third one. You just needed to. Lots of runners left in scoring position. Lots of double plays. Lourdes had one at a horrible time. Vladdy had one. Vladdy's been pounding the ball into the ground. I'm sure he'll come out of it, but he locked it in. Teoscar Hernandez, I don't know if his foot's still hurting. There was a play where he should have hustled a bit better to get to second base, would have scored a run and put it within a 1-run game. Didn't happen. The bullpen blew up a little bit. Ross Stripling had another phenomenal start. He still had 3 runs. He gave up 2 home runs, the most he's had all year. But he just battles, and he cannot blame Ross Stripling for this game. He's been doing great. There's just a lack of fundamentals, and there's lots of errors. It goes to when there was a ground ball where Bo Bichette threw it to. We're already down, I think 7-3, I believe. Bo Bichette ground ball to end the inning. Trevor Richards is on the mound, first base. Vladdy just drops the ball. The ball comes right out of his glove after he catches it. Another run scores. I think there was some boos at the Rogers Center. But it just goes to show that it wasn't our series at all. Am I worried? A little bit. I think I'm not too worried. It was a horrible series, and it just goes to show we've been inconsistent this year. We need to find some consistency before the playoffs get underway, if we can make the playoffs. Just a lot of runners left in scoring position. Springer got a home run there at the end. They didn't use the home run jacket, rightfully so, because there's nothing to be excited about in that game. I still think we're going to be good. We came off a great road trip. We need to sweep the Cubs coming up. So we'll get into a little bit now. Those were the 3 games. It wasn't too long of a breakdown. There's not much to break down. The series it sucked. It was unfortunate. But looking ahead, quick note though, Yusei Kikuchi also came out in game 3 and got 1 strikeout in the 1 batter he faced. So maybe he's trying to find something, but I don't. Well, he'll need to prove it a bit more. But getting into what's to come. So we have the Cubs starting tomorrow on a 3-game series at home. I think we need to sweep. We just need to win all 3 games, and we need to give the fans something. The Jays need to give the fans something to be excited about. They've gotten 5 runs and 17 hits in that 3-game series with 1 home run. There wasn't a home run hit in that series until the bottom of the 9th inning in game 3 when George Springer hit that home run. The Jays need to have a clubhouse meeting. They need to lock in on defense, and they need to focus. They need to show the sense of urgency that they know they can. They talked about it in the last series against Boston, where they were like, they found a sense of urgency, and it showed. And then I don't know what happened to it. They need to start hitting. It's crunch time now. The Rays won today, being Sunday, August 28th, meaning that we are now, as of this video, 1.5 games back of the first wildcard spot. and Orioles are on our tail, and there's no time for losing really against these teams. 2 out of 3 would have been fine against the Angels. Me and Peter talked in the last video, the recap. We wanted to go 7-2 in the 9-game series against the Angels, Cubs, and Pirates, and that's just not possible because we already lost 3 games. So we hope to finish 6-3. We got to sweep the Cubs. We got to sweep the Pirates. I don't know. It was a rough series. Yeah, I don't know. Much shorter breakdown today. There's just not much to talk about at this point. It was a rough series. I think what we need to do now is leave it in the past. Vladdy had a rough series. Most hitters had a rough series. We need to leave it in the past. Shout out to George Springer. He's been giving it his all out there. The bullpen, they did fine. Getting a bit taxed, but hopefully hopefully someone has a clubhouse meeting that allows them to just refocus in and take the next 3 games against the Cubs. I think we need to take 3 in a row against the Cubs. They haven't been good, and we need to just try to start. We need to start hitting the ball again. We've been mildly inconsistent. We'll go from beating the Yankees, beating the Red Sox, destroying them, hitting the ball great, to just no runs, 2 hits, all that. So that's about to wrap up the recap. Again, apologize for the shorter one. There wasn't that much to break down. Peter wasn't able to make it here today. I'm sure he'll be back for the one against the Cubs. But yeah, you guys are the best for making it this far. Hopefully, the Jays start to bounce back against the Cubs. Hit the subscribe button, like the video if you did enjoy it. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Cheers.